welcome. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil.
And you're watching Rockin the
Love.
Love. Okay.
We're so glad you're here.
We are, but we really shouldn't do that together.
Oh, okay.
It feels very like Shamil, Shamazel. Like we're going to, break into.
We're going to dance?
Yeah, we're going to dance and break into the song. And
that'll be fun. I think we should do that. All right, everybody. So since we're not going to dance right now, we are coming to you with a special show. This is a show that we've pre-recorded, so we had an opportunity to talk with a couple of very special guests. And
you know them because they've both been here, and but they are our very dedicated listeners and friends. And so this is what happens if you sign up for our mailing list. You'll have the opportunity to get advance notice and special slots on our show.
So make sure you sign up for the mailing list. Head to our website, check it out, rockinthelove.com. And be sure you go to our YouTube page and subscribe. More subscribers we get, the better we're able to get that out there and have people see it. So we just appreciate that. And of course, as always, feel free to comment and let us know what you think. Just know that from this particular show, we probably won't talk back.
But we might. We might. We may be listening at the very same time, but not in the very same place because Gil is off to.
I am going to teen camp. Apparently, I feel the need to go back, so I'm doing it again.
God knows you'll do anything to keep from going forward.
That's right. Why get ahead when you can retreat? That's what I say. So I'm headed off tomorrow on a plane, going to Oregon with 9 kids from locally to meet up with, I don't know how many other kids, 200, 300, I don't know, something like that. And we're going to have a fun week of teen camp. So there you go.
And you all will emerge knowing yourselves more.
Knowing ourselves more and needing a shower. So that'll probably be about it.
And not needing to do teen camp again for a while, right?
Yeah, once every 12 years. That's good.
Yeah, it's good.
That was the last one I did, I think, was 12 years ago. Woo! That's crazy.
You're going to be super old on the next one.
I know. I know.
Okay.
But get me a cane.
So how's your week been?
My week has been good and terrifying at the same time, as you well know. But it's been a good week. I'm excited. A lot's going on, and there's so much going on that I've wanted to stay in bed some of the time.
Well, that's perfect because our theme of the month is freedom.
Freedom.
And freedom should be about doing anything you want on some level.
Yes. And freedom is about being able to make a choice. And when I get those places where I'm stuck and I don't want to move, I feel like I don't have a choice. And it's a reminder that I really do. And I have to choose. Otherwise, I don't choose. So that also gums up the muck with the family and with relationships and all that because I'm stuck. So today actually has been an unstuck day, and I'm excited about that moving forward greatly. I'm sure those teens will knock me into some kind of orbit, and I will come back refreshed and renewed and ready to go. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right. So now, because I think we're going to get into probably some of those feelings and those thoughts, right, with Linda and John. But now it's time for, and here's the good news.
Here's the good news.
So what is the good news of the week? What a week. What a time. I mean, freedom. That is such a, to me, challenging subject. So what is the good news of the week?
Well, I will say personally, a good news of the week is that I fixed the car and it's done. It runs and it's perfect. Yay!
That's good.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting because this goes right to freedom. When you're a loving spouse giving your husband the freedom to do what he wants to do and thinks he can do, it's sometimes a little challenging to keep your hands off of trying to let him know really he's not a mechanic or he's not any number of things, but he always seems to come through and fix faucets and toilets and refrigerators and cars, but then he complains he doesn't have enough time to do what he wants to do. So I say,
enough about us.
Enough about us. So my good news for the week was it was really sweet. Where I teach kids drama, little kids, and one of the counselors at the summer camp was telling me that when they went around the circle and talked about what they liked best, like the majority of kids said drama, and that was so nice.
That is great.
It is great because I never feel like I'm really doing anything other than saying, Susie, no, listen, because Johnny, blah, blah, blah. It feels like I don't really feel like I'm teaching or getting them anywhere, but, it's that thing where you have to trust that my intention is set and I'm moving into it and I do play whatever game I play and somehow they take something away. Today I felt like that actually because what I was teaching them, there's this game we play that at the end of it, they've learned numerous things, but stage right, stage left, and center stage. And as I was telling them, because one kid was like, which way's right? And I was like, okay, everybody raise this hand, and they all raised that hand. I'm like, because they were facing me. And I'm like, this is your right hand. This will be your right hand for the rest of your life. If someone says turn right, you're going to turn towards that hand. Whatever you do, you're going to turn that way. And this one's your left. And I did. And I thought, they're going to remember that. Because I still have to sometimes go, okay, what's yours right? Okay, I write with my right hand. I was like, not that that's drama, but it can be if you don't know which way to go. Just saying.
Got to be able to understand what you're doing. Okay. I wanted to add in something that we missed. Two big things that happened this week that were really, really fun. Good news. We had a friend come over on last Thursday because she was headed out to a plane to go to Disneyland because she had her last day at work and had retired that day. And the following day was my first official day on the job in my new job. So I thought it was kind of funny and interesting. So I am officially the spiritual director at Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Ooh.
Woo! And I'm very excited about that and what's going to happen and what's already happening. And so there you go. All right. So on to freedom.
Right. Okay. So on to freedom or on to a break?
Break and then freedom.
We're going to take a break and then we're going to come back here and talk with our guests about freedom. And think about what that is. Even though we're pre-recorded, we'd love to see your comments. Put it in the chat and we can go back to it, or perhaps we'll be there. Either way, it really helps us to know where to go with the next set of shows. So we'll be right back here right after this message.
On New Thought Media.
welcome back. This is Rockin the Love, and I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil. And we are excited to have you back on this very special show where we are going to have the listeners join us. Yes, today we have Linda Goldsmith and John Chastain, who are both listeners from the General Bay area. Thank you so much. Hi, how are you?
Many of you may know John from his silent show, where we did a fabulous show for an hour and the sound didn't come out. So now you get a chance to hear him.
Well, first, I wanted to congratulate Reverend Gil. It's very exciting news, and I did not know that it began yesterday. So wonderful.
Yep, on the first official day. Yeah. I think that was chosen because I grew up a Methodist, and that's the day everybody starts. So I think somehow that came through in the process.
Wonderful.
You have to start.
You have to start on July 1st. That's when you go.
That's funny.
That's when I started my ministry in the Methodist Church. That's funny.
That is funny.
30 years ago. Okay. Wow, is that a memory right there? 1992. Okay.
But as you so eloquently said, enough about us.
That's right. What's enough about us?
So, happy 5th of July. I know that yesterday I actually had a conversation with John where we discussed a little bit how challenging the whole happy 4th of July was. So how was 4th of July for you all? What did it mean to you this year?
Linda?
Well, that's a great question because I love fireworks. I'll do anything to see fireworks normally. And yesterday I had to think about it. I really had to think, do I want to go celebrate America right now? Am I in the mood for singing those patriotic songs? And the answer is yes, I did it. I did it, but it really wasn't the same. It feels a little empty. And I as I was just telling Robyn and Gil before we started our show, I grew up right next to Highland Park, which is the scene of that shooting on the 4th of July. I spent a lot of time in that little town. It was right next to where I lived. And I woke up yesterday and that's the first thing I saw was the headline about it. And I was just, it's too close to home. When it starts to get really close to home, everything shifts. I'm not reading a news story. I'm really feeling it. And so it made it a little more challenging to feel great about our country. But I think it also makes me think about things like how often have I gone on the 4th of July to a barbecue and gone to fireworks and not really thought about what it means at all. You know what I mean? I've had a good time, but I've never really, this is our country. I'm honoring this is, I've never thought about it like I did yesterday. And so I think that's a good thing about what's going on in the world right now is it's forcing us to pay attention to what's important and what's real. So.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Actually, I think I'm going to share this right now. And then, John, you can respond. I found something that Abraham Lincoln said, and I want to share it with you. We, the people, are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. And I thought that was really empowering and addressing some of, I think, what you were feeling, Linda, about our country a little bit. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I felt the same. I mean, it wasn't, I agree with you, Linda, that it wasn't something, I know it's not something that I've thought about every year. I mean, I've thought about it, but independent and blah, blah, blah. But, more in a way that I'm really glad people fought for us. And I'm really glad, whatever history lesson I had. And then, where's the burger kind of thing. but but yesterday it really was. It was like, how do I celebrate this? How do I celebrate this when I feel like so many, inequities are happening in the world?
And specifically in our country, maybe, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually today I decided to wear my 4th of July shirt, but I had to think about it. Like I put it on and I decided, but I was like, can I wear this shirt? Because it's a red shirt with like this lacy flag on it. I'm actually wearing it. You just can't see it. And sorry. Okay, there it is. So, but I had to decide, and I was like, I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I'm wearing it, but I'm wearing it because, first I had to ask myself, do I believe in this country? And what does this country really mean to me? Because I can get super angry, and I can, there's many times when I haven't wanted to be part of this country. And, but I was like, yeah, the red I'm wearing because of the blood that's been shed. And the white in the flag makes it okay because it's the hope of the future. So I felt like I had like this really specific like reason, and it made me feel better about it. Not, you know what I mean?
Wow. Well, John, did you have any better at 4th of July? On a downer here today.
Yeah, I too woke to the news of the shooting, and as a survivor of pretty horrific gun violence, my heart goes out to them. And I know that it's a long journey for anyone that got shot and survived. And I know it's a very long journey for the people who lost their lives and their family and friends. So I do want to acknowledge them. And also, I've just been feeling lately with a Supreme Court decision, which I thought was horrendous, that I always tell myself, how spiritually fit am I? And it seems like lately I've really been reaching for spiritual material to keep me in touch with spirit, because there are things for me that can derail me. So once I kind of moved through that energy, I got in touch with my sister Robyn, my spiritual sister, and we talked it out a bit. And it's wonderful when you have community when times are hard or stressful or upsetting to talk. And then I actually drove up to Glen Ellen and was with a bunch of people, some of whom I've known for 40 years, and had a wonderful small gathering. I mean, there were 15 or 20 people, but to me that's small. It's not a big, huge park. It was in somebody's garden. And it was really pleasant to sit around, eat this great food. All I had to do was bring a bunch of beverages, which was so easy. I was really grateful for that. And later on, we talked more about freedom. There was a wonderful CD that I had packed in my car, forgotten about. And they said, what do I listen to on this 50-minute drive? And it was a spiritual CD. And I was like, whoa, look at spirit tuning me up. So I'm really grateful. I think that the Constitution is something that we live into, that we constantly fulfill, that we re-examine. So I'm hopeful that maybe we can get some corrective action and restore rights that I think should be rights. I don't know, but I'm also optimistic. That's kind of it in a nutshell. And I got to watch the fireworks with my mom on Channel 9. And we love to do that. And I'm like, if I can sit down and have my beverage and watch it on TV, that's great for me with my mom and my dad. So thumbs up for me.
So let's talk about freedom. So we all know what's going on this week, and I can feel the heaviness in our heavy hearts around all of that. Oh, in a different context, what is freedom to you? What does it mean? I'm gonna read you the definition of it while you're pondering that. The definitions I found are the quality or state of being free, such as the absence of necessity coercion, or constraint in choice or action, liberation from slavery or restraint or from the power of another, independence.
Can you that part about necessity? Can you reread that, because that was very powerful?
The quality or state of being free, such as the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in choice or action.
Thank you. That really goes to the heart of the tape I was listening to. See, that's how old I am. I say tape like cassette tape. It was a CD.
Was it reel to reel? No.
Just about. I mean, there was somebody reading a book in my back seat. That's how primitive. And it was actually from Lao Tzu, which is ancient Chinese wisdom. And that reminds me of Michael Beckwith with Ancient Wisdom, New Thought, Ancient Wisdom. Yes, A-Trek. And it was saying that freedom is when you, and that's why I had to reread it, is freedom from your addictions. And it wasn't talking about, I mean, it can include using smack or drugs, but it was talking about, do you have this rigidity which prevents you from being flexible and open? And I'm like driving past cows out in fields, and I was like, aha. Because if I'm rigid and I say all Republicans are giant you-know-whats, then I can't let any of their humanity in. And I cannot hear their argument, and I cannot look at what we share. And I think one of the reasons I use the political is because in discourse, in civil discourse, which I think we desperately all need, I know I need it, to remain civil and to remain open and listen is, I think, one of the tenets of our America. And so when I heard, do I suffer from addictions? Do I have to have it this way? Do I need to put this label or other? Because I know a lot of us know the other when we're othering. And I thought, isn't that beautiful that this man, 800 years ago, or whatever, was teaching us to go with the flow. And he said, the lower you have, let me see if I get this right, that, it can go anyway. What I'm eating, what I'm wearing, where I go in my day. So that, and I think that's beautiful, because that's like Reverend Gil going to another state and opening a ministry, and other people would have just said, oh, I'm not moving. And so in that freedom comes this beautiful experience that we may have no idea what it is. And I've always loved celebrating that in Science of Mind, to remove those attachments. And it also allows not only my freedom, but it gives freedom to other people around me and in community. And they talked on the tape a lot about community. So I think that's a big thing with it. So you don't have to necessarily have it or coerce other people or constrain them or constrain your own mind. So I think what you read, Robyn, was beautiful and spot on. That's my take on freedom.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
Well, I've been pondering this, and I realize when I think of my values in general, freedom hasn't really come up that often. And the reason I think that's true is because I've always felt free. I don't feel like I've lived in a way that I've been coerced or constrained by outside forces. But what I love, John, what you brought in, because it's all an inside job. I've definitely constrained myself. I've definitely made myself do things that I didn't want to do, for example. But so freedom is a more complex issue than I think most of us think about. And I do feel for the first time lately that my freedom to live in a democracy, to think that my vote is actually going to matter, that it's going to be, that when I put that envelope in the mail slot, it's going to show up somewhere on the other end correctly. and be counted. I mean, that is freedom that I've taken for granted all this time. And maybe I've taken a lot of other freedoms that I've been given for granted. And that's what I'm sort of saying, is that I'm reevaluating everything, because I didn't feel the need to pay attention so much before. And maybe that's how we got into this state in the first place, because a lot of people haven't been paying attention for a really long time. Yeah.
That's a great point. I think that's a great point.
It's very easy not to pay attention, if you will, especially when there's a level of freedom that we believe we have, and we also really have.
Mm.
Allows us to pretend that there aren't other issues or there aren't other questions. And I think the other big thing about that is how is freedom distributed?
Yeah.
It's
very different.
Is my looking at freedom and saying, I'm not coerced, I can now make my choices and I can do this. How does that differ from John's ability to do that, or from someone else's ability to do that?
I think that's a great point. And I think, if we dig a little deeper and we break it down into the perceived groups of like religion and sexuality, and, as a gay person, as an African-American person, as a Jewish person, as, whatever some of those things that seem to be a boundary or I don't even know what to call it, but I mean, that's where it seems like a lot of times we come up against our freedom, or I hear people come up against their freedom.
Do y'all know that commercial where those two little kids, there's one slightly older, and he starts talking to the younger one who's almost like in a high chair, I think, and he says, "You are strong, you are brave, you are." I wish we could include that here, but it makes me think too, are we empowering others' freedom? My daily reading today was on the power of your word. And Linda, I love what you said, the inside job, and that's the aspect I was really looking at. And am I empowering my own self? I'm saying, these things you have, and I love that, Robyn, you brought up the examination. Are we examining? Are we reviewing? Are we looking at, and using all the, like AARP has this, all these assets when you're a member, and I just flip over that. And the other day I looked at that page without just flipping over it in the magazine. I was like, whoa, you can get a discount here, and you can get this free ride, and you can, I was like, wait, oh. So if we review our freedoms and freedom of speech and various things, we might find some goodies that we really haven't been enjoying, or some ways to kind of rearrange things so they're not.
Yeah, what Linda said, I feel a lot like Linda in that I don't really think about it that much, because I'm very privileged, and yet when you stop and think, we all have, I mean, when you think about freedom within a relationship, like your job, what kind of freedom do you have there? Your relationship. And what does that really mean in a committed relationship? And what does freedom look like? Monogamy, like how do we look at how, when we because like Linda said, I really haven't had to look at it in that way. Because nobody was really abusing my freedom to a point that, was painful anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, but like, how about in a relationship? Like, how do you have freedom in a relationship? And, or is it important to have freedom in a relationship? And how do you maintain freedom in a relationship? These are such good questions. I think that we should think about them and come back right after a commercial break. right here on New Thought Media Network.
Okay.
Well, I surprised my producer.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
Welcome back to Rockin the Love. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and we're here with our guests, John Chastain and Linda Goldsmith, and we are having a good time. I wanted to just introduce a quick quote from Voltaire before we head into our next section. He says, "It's difficult to free fools from the chains they revere." I thought that was a great quote about freedom and kind of went back to what you were talking about earlier, John. So anyway, so we were wondering about how or what does it mean, or what is the thing about freedom in a relationship? What is that really? How do we navigate that with whomever?
And yeah. Sorry, my head was having a conversation without you. Yeah. Well, I just think it's such an interesting topic because sometimes freedom sounds like something you want, you have to have, it's your right. And other times it's like, I don't want all that freedom. Right? Other times it can be super, super scary, you know? It's like, so I think like our definition, especially like in a relationship of freedom, is so important because, you know, if you're still defining freedom like our teenage children, well, that means you don't want any obligations. You don't want to take responsibility for anything. You want to be able to do whatever you want.
Don't have to worry about anything. Just do what you want.
Yeah. And whereas when you get a little more adult, it begins to mean a little bit more,
Well, to some, not to all of us.
Well, for me, it's funny, Robyn, you were just saying that it can be a little scary. I was thinking during the break that for me right now in my life, I have made some transitions in that I am not officially working at the moment, and I've always worked, and I think I'm retiring. I'm not sure yet, but I think I'm going into that phase, and I have no work to work on right at the moment. So, and also for years, I was a caregiver to my father who has passed. And so now what, and what I think about in this time is, I asked myself, why am I here? This is a really important time to be alive. How did I choose this? And so I have this life now to create at my stage of life. I get to create. I have the freedom to create whatever I want to be and how I want to be in the world. And yet that's kind of scary. That can be very scary because I'm used to having always having something that I have to do, some obligation that's set for me. And so I don't have to think about what am I really wanting to be or do, or, so it's a double-edged sword. It's exciting and it's invigorating and it's terrifying. As you said, Gil, starting, even thinking about doing something brand new and big and, oh my God, and so, and yet I am grateful that I have that opportunity. I really, truly am. So, freedom is a big thing. And also I think it's a responsibility, It's not just a gift that we're given, but it's what are you going to do with this gift? Not everyone has it. So, yeah.
Yeah, Linda, just note, I was feeling you as you were saying that because I was realizing that, you like you said, you're sort of moving into this semi-retirement stage, a space where you have all the space you need to create what you want. You have all that freedom, right, to do what you want, blah, blah, blah. And then you're thinking, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I realized that was a piece of what was going on for me this week. I'm moving into a space where I have everything I want. I wanted to be in this position where I could serve in this way and have a church and be, have a center and be a part of it and really offer my leadership and all those things and have a lot of influence on how it goes. But I'm like, but now what do I do?
Wow.
There's that certain part where you go, oh, I have a lot of choices. I have a lot of freedom, and I think that's an interesting thing. I think we all hit that point at different points.
Yep.
I like to use I need to read this book because I always refer to the title, but it's Before Enlightenment, Chop Wood, Carry Water. After Enlightenment, Chop Wood, Carry Water. And there are certain things that I have to do with my day that I need to do. I mean, unless I want to be unkempt and homeless. And that's not a choice for me. I don't think. But also, Linda, I just wanted to say you are a dear friend. I think of you as a dynamic, intelligent, exciting person. And I know that the universe has just got different things going on that are really going to appeal to you. So I'm excited to see what your next steps bring.
Me too. Thank you.
And Gil, I think your dance card is going to be busy for a while when you get back there. I think Spirit has a lot for you to do. And I'm also, during the break, I was thinking about tools. And I loved coming to Science of Mind and studying to be a practitioner and being a practitioner for about 5 or 6 years. And learning tools. visioning and meditation I want to talk about, because when I don't know, I'm like, where's spirit? Spirit is in meditation for me, or sitting quietly in the garden. And I don't mind, if I don't know what to get at the grocery store, I sit out in my car. And I don't necessarily close my eyes and everything, but it's a meditation. Okay. And it grounds me and centers me. And like I said earlier on, I feel like almost a desperate need because of some of the ugliness that we're seeing, some of the sheer ugliness. And in that, it's like, well, do I go to a meeting? Do I go protest gun violence? Do I go show up? And they're wonderful books. One of my things since I retired early is I go to the Albany Library. And right now I'm reading Free Speech, a history from Socrates to social media. And when I was running my gardening company, I had no time for that. And so I look at these issues that bother the heck out of me, and I go get the latest book written by some pretty amazing, usually spiritual or religious people that really care. And I have the freedom now to go do that and to use that gift of our tax dollars in the library. And I'd love to be able to come back to center. And I watch y'all's program because it grounds me on Wednesdays. And you guys scratch. You're like, well, how are you doing? And have you thought about this question? And I love I'm like, ooh, it's good scratch. Because then I don't go flatline, which I can do. I don't get on the flat line and it's a Wednesday. So I love that about you guys. And
Thank you.
Yeah, and I it's exciting for me to see anybody come to a center or listen to a service and figure out, you know what, I'm going to try that out. You know what, I've never done that. And that Voltaire quote, it's like, am I being a fool? Am I so attached? And I wanted to say one more thing on freedom. I think freedom does need to be married with some kind of inner wisdom, so we don't run amok and think it's a good use of freedom. It's like, well, what am I? And Linda, you seem to have that wisdom. I think you are going to marry that with your new freedom. Anyway, I'm out. I'm Robyn.
No, I think those are really great points, John. I think how can we define a freedom in 60 minutes? We can't. There's so many levels and nuances to it, and really deciding what it means. Is freedom just not having to do things that you don't want to do, or is it being able to be yourself and to express yourself? And to know yourself. And I think, to Linda's point of taking on something new, it's like, that's the phase that it's like, it feels like all roads have come together. You've done this job, that job, the other job, been in this relationship, that relationship, taken this training and this teaching and, studied this and that. And now here you are. And it's like a bounty of a platter, a buffet that you get to choose from and go, what's mine to do next? And I have a quote actually that says, freedom is found when we let go of who we're supposed to be and embrace who we really are.
Yeah.
Yay. And it feels like that's really the opportunity, is like, okay, I don't have to do or be or say anything. I don't have to, it's like, don't judge my joy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like that.
Well,
that's a quote.
It's a quote. The short version is, one day we were in a workshop, and how in a workshop, everybody in these spiritual circles is all kumbaya and going over the rules. What are the rules? Be respectful, don't speak outside of the circle. And I was like, don't judge my joy. I don't need people to come up to me afterwards and go, are you okay? You weren't smiling. You weren't doing this. You're not. don't judge my joy. My face is going to be my face, and I'm having my own process, and I'm fine. So, but that's what it's like. It's like, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Not having
Good for you.
to be what other people
I
think I should be.
I'm sorry. I think it's fascinating that what I heard come through was when you were describing sort of, using Linda's example, you've done this, you've done that, you've done, and then it all comes together, and look at this. And that is, do our freedoms increase as we age or as we grow? Yeah. Okay. Our producer isn't sure.
I think that's a conscious action where Voltaire's words are really good, because I think we can increase our chains if we're not careful.
Right.
And
you're right.
But if you look at when we're kids,
yes,
it's a whole different level of freedom that I don't know that we even ever go back to.
Just go to the playground and get instructed by the children.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And hopefully we're held in safety while we do that by our parents. So that allows us to just fly if we have the right kind of support from our families.
Isn't there a quote in the Bible about let the little ones lead or teach?
Right. The children will lead us. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did inner child work with, I think, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and also really helpful was Louise Hay, the Science of Mind minister. And when I first encountered my inner child, it was in my mid-30s, I think. And that poor little boy was all curled up inside me and sad and wounded. And I went, whoa. And it was so potent and so powerful. And I rediscovered play. And I think that's all, that's another inner, releasing those chains or those pains or those things, like you were saying, Linda, the inner work.
Well, I just got a call while I've been sitting here from my sister. And I think it's such a good example in my own life of releasing judgment. My sister has been in Scientology, and I have some very negative feelings about Scientology. I do. And part of the reason I have them is because as she got into it with her husband, she pushed me away because I wasn't into it. And we've had a very difficult relationship for a long time. And recently she's gone more into it. She's been studying, and she's gone to different centers and in the country to study and to become more and more involved in it. And I've had to make a choice. Am I going to judge her and tell her, don't do that with your life? Or am I going to just support her? Just say, whatever it is that makes you feel more whole, do it. And what's happened is I chose to support her, which is amazing to me when I look at it, because that has not been my path up until now. And now she's calling me for advice. We have a much better relationship than we've had since we were kids. Well, even when we were kids. And the thing is that she has shifted. I mean, she is a happier, more energetic, more loving person than she's been. So I'm learning that, maybe what I've been judging, isn't quite true or real. And so it's just a wonderful example of letting go of judgment and being free to see things in a different way. And I have to say, I'm very proud of myself. and what a payoff, what a payoff, because I only have one sister and I really want to have a loving relationship with her and allow her freedom. That's what I'm doing, so yay.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That is.
It is beautiful. And I hear you. And I hear you giving, credit to your sister and all of that. And I have to say, and to you, Linda, I mean, I know you gave credit to you, but also when, you're saying, and she's happy and she has all this space and she's blah, blah, blah. So do you, because you're not worried about whatever. You're not holding on to that thought so tight
Yeah.
that you can't be with her fully, And I think that's really important. I think it's really important. I think that's, because there's so much. Again, we haven't even talked about freedom from ourselves, right? Freedom from our negative critics, freedom from the voices we hear, freedom from our parents or whoever down the line told us, don't do it that way. You shouldn't do it that way. It doesn't look like that, And I think like for you to let go of something like that and just be able to show up, you not only have given her the space, but you've relinquished the space for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I used to worry about her. Like, no, she's making a choice. She's a big girl.
Yeah.
Even though she's my little sister, she's a big girl. She knows what she's doing for her life. And yeah, it feels really good actually to know that.
And I think that is one of the things that as an adult, we get to, we have a little bit more control over our freedom in that way, because we do get to make conscious choices based on our experiences. And I have another quote that says, the secret to happiness is freedom, and the secret to freedom is courage.
Oh,
Great quote, Robyn and Gil.
Yeah. And that's kind of what was going through my head, Linda, as you were sharing, was how much freedom we have to allow ourselves in order to be in relationship. We have to allow ourselves to let go of so much and to be open to so many things to really continue to be in relationship. And for, as we do that, we allow others to do the same, right? They suddenly, and suddenly we're not tied into what we think is right. We're not, because we're not judging it the same way. They're different.
And that's okay. And that's okay.
Maybe they're not that different than they were before, but we perceive them totally different than we did before. So
and I want to tag on at the 4th of July barbecue yesterday. I had a viewpoint, and one of my dear friends, she said, well, I think that's a oversimplification, and and I just, well, I don't, and I got into it with her. It didn't get real heated, but I had to use the restroom, and I thought on the way, and I thought, what's important here? Because and then she kind of, after a few exchanges, she had to get up, and I was like, maybe you ought to, say something, because she's important. Your viewpoint is somewhat important, but she's important. She's a friend, and I love her. So later on, I said, I'm sorry if I was like, and she goes, oh no, you were fine. So whether that was true or not, but I thought when I was younger, I would be like, what's really important is that I make my point, and I don't care who I, verbally hit over the head. It's like, no, ew, who cares? Who cares? And what mattered was the love of this friend. Yeah. And I wanted to convey that to her. So I did it.
Yeah. So there's so many levels to it, to this freedom conversation and how it shows up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you were describing having, you allowed yourself to be free enough to make the choice.
Yeah. I was like,
you've always had that freedom, but
it wasn't attached to that. Like before, I would have been attached to that viewpoint.
Yep. Yep. So, just really quickly, we're about to close out. I wanted to share something Van Gogh said that says, none are more helplessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free.
Ooh.
And I think that's the thing. When we go through and we're not really paying attention and we think we're making these great decisions based on all the facts and all the things, but in reality, we're not allowing ourselves to be free to really look at it. then we're closed off.
Hmm.
So that's our initial take on freedom this month. Woohoo!
There'll be lots more to come. So stay with us. And please make sure and comment and everything. And John and Linda, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation.
And your willingness to
Pleasure. It was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it really was
But
fun.
you know, that's the way we roll. Our relationship with fun is good. All right. So thank you so much. I want to, speaking of relationships and freedom, I remember when I didn't feel I had the freedom to donate money to anything because I was so worried about my money and what to do and all of that. And I think as we explore freedom, it's a great time as an exercise just to tithe. And that means whatever you can do. It doesn't mean any huge amount. It doesn't mean a certain amount, but whatever feels comfortable. If you can share and trust, it's allowed my relationship to grow and really to see how it's reciprocal and it comes back and it comes back more and all of those good things. So we really appreciate it if you are so inclined to share a little something with us at New Thought Media Network. You can donate ntmedia.com/donate. And I'm just really moved this week, even though I know there's no time, but I'm going to do it anyway, to just give a little prayer for our country and for all that we're going through. And truly just trusting and knowing that no matter what it looks like out there, that truly that God's got this and that whatever may feel like a loss, that it is truly happening for a reason and that we are learning and we are moving forwards. And I'm just sending love and blessings to the families and victims all over the world, not only in Illinois, but all over the planet that we don't hear about even, that we lose to senseless violence. And I'm just trusting and knowing that the love of God is lifting and supporting them. And knowing that we're all showering them with our love. So we keep on rocking it, rocking the love and sending it out to all four corners of the earth and beyond. And we thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody. Keep on rocking the love.